Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day and the city in which we live. Guide us this evening as we make our decisions. In Christ's name, amen. Amen. Okay, this is the February 23rd, 2021 regular meeting of the Newnan City Council. I'll have the minutes from the regular meeting of February the 9th, 2021. Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion and a second. We approve as presented. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. I've spoken to the council members who are responsible for the next appointments of boards and commissions, and we'll just put all three of those on our next meeting date. That would be fine. Thank you very much. Mr. Phillips, you have anything this evening? I don't have anything this evening. Under new business, no action on this item. This is information only. The rezoning request RZ 2021-02, George Rosenzweig on behalf of Leasing Associates 2 LLP for 35.49 acres located on Newnan Crossing Bypass, a portion of tax parcel 0875011-003 from RS15 to RMH for 396 affordable apartments. As I said a moment ago, no action, information only. Under unfinished business, this is a consideration for an amendment to the intergovernmental agreement between the City of Newnan and Mura regarding the house and property at 100 East Washington. You've got this in your agenda. They're simply asking for an increase in some $50,000 from $100,000 to $150,000 in their process. Staff is here. Ms. Tracy, how are you?
Doing well, thank you.
I'm sure would be able to answer any questions you have, or if you have any explanation.
Essentially, we went out to bid and did not receive any bidders. The consultant went back and had discussions with some of the potential bidders that were interested. They had indicated that because there were a lot of projects out there they could pick, so there's a great need for contractors, people doing a lot of remodel jobs. And also they were concerned that there may be some unforeseen costs that show up when they're going through it that the $100,000 just wouldn't be enough to cover. So therefore, we went back to the consultant. She suggested upping our budget and suggested we come back to you all and ask for $50,000 more for a total of $150,000. That would be a loan and be repaid once the house was sold.
Make a motion to approve.
It's a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion is second to approve. Any discussion?
I have a question.
Yes.
I understand that you're having a hard time getting the bids, but part of the language that was a little bit, I didn't quite get, that we wanted to make sure that there was profit margins in for the bidder. And so my suggestion was that I wasn't aware that we would add more money to it in order to make sure that the bidder makes a profit. It seems to me that I would suggest we put it out one more time for a bid. That's what I would like to see, with a hard number coming back based upon scope of work, and then ask for additional money with a contingency of maybe 25%, but 50 seems pretty steep just based upon you can't get bidders. And I understand why people aren't bidding on it, but at the same time, it seems to me with the scope of work, just get the hard bid. That's what I would like to see.
Yeah, I didn't take it as that was going to be the price. I kind of took it as that would be.
I can't hear you, I'm sorry.
I took that as that would be the ceiling and not necessarily the price.
Yeah, I understand that, but I've never been in a business, quite frankly, where you say, here's our budget, meet our budget. This is the amount of money we have. Typically, you get the hard number, and then you determine, it's up to the bidder to determine what his profit margin is. That was my question and my hesitancy of giving an additional $50,000 based upon just that letter and the interpretation of what she feels needs to be added to it.
When you put the bid out, did you have it detailed of the scope of work?
Yes, sir, we did, and we had plans that had been provided. And we did tell that the budget was $100,000 because that is all the board gave us. So that was the amount of money we had for the project.
Okay, so the scope of work is out there?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
One other quick question. The $100,000 is going to be used to go back for other homes. The additional $50,000, would that go back to the general fund once this is completed, or would that go back into the $150,000 with the other $100,000?
No, the amount of the loan would be coming back to the general fund, and the proceeds of anything that's above the 150 would stay with here to be reinvested in other affordable housing projects. entire loan will be coming back,
The entire 150.
the entire 150.
The first
If the
150
home
comes,
sells for 200,
We get 50.
So there's really not a guarantee that this additional 50,000 is going to meet it based upon when you start unwrapping the house, for example, there could be some unforeseen things, right? And so it's kind of an arbitrary number. We'll throw 50,000, right? Or am I
wouldn't say
misunderstanding?
arbitrary,
Well,
but I do understand.
it's a hard number.
There's always unknowns, and you know, we had a conversation, Councilman Guillaume, he had a good question, why did we advertise, the number? And it is common, and I know Mr. Johnson could tell you, in most projects, we advertise the budget number. Sometimes we don't. I asked Tracy that question, she had a perfect response. Well, that's all the money we have.
Yeah.
So that's why in this particular case, they
It is,
advertise.
yeah. When you're out, you're out. Yeah.
So,
Okay. Yeah. Any other conversation, discussion on this? We've got a motion and a second to approve the request. I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carried 5-2.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, the next item on the agenda is consideration of a resolution in support of the local government lighting project agreement for the proposed roundabout at SR 14 US 29 Greenville Street, Corinth Road. Was in our agenda.
yeah, we were supposed to adopt it via resolution and didn't know that until after the fact, so this one includes the proper resolution that GDOT's requesting.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. We adopt the resolution as presented. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. The next is a holdover from last meeting. This is a consideration of standing use agreement for facility use policy. Mr. Craver, how are you? Mr.
I'm
Katie,
well.
how are you this evening?
I'm good, Mayor. How are you?
I'm good.
Good.
Mayor Brady, members of the council, we're back again at your request. You handled 2 of the 3 items presented at the last meeting. Today, we're back again. We've included the information that you've requested. Today is to consider how we handle annual contracts. The recommendation from staff has not changed. Again, it's leave it the way it is. We do nothing, no charge, and then we try and fit people in underneath a cap. Second is a consideration of a 15% hosting fee. And third is to levy fees based upon the approved fee schedule that this body adopted at the last meeting. Ms. Mosley and I are prepared to answer any questions you may have at this time. I know you also received a bit of information. I think that was Friday afternoon. I've heard from some of you as it's related to those users, what they charge, the number of people they serve, and so on and so on. So we're prepared to answer any questions you may have at this time.
Questions from council?
Actually, I do. You know, the last time we talked about this, you know, one of the things I thought we should do is take into consideration metrics. You know, who's serving whom, how many are they serving, all those different things. And I don't see any of that information in our information to talk about those different groups, about how many are they serving, are they, you know, what is the family income status, where do they live, that kind of stuff. Because I think that, just like I said last time, I think that going to this blanket approach of everybody just gets 4 hours would do a disservice to our community. Because it makes, to me, it doesn't make any sense to limit an organization that's serving 400 kids or 200 kids for an organization that has a parent, their kid, and a couple other kids coming in to try and do something regularly. It's reducing the number of children that you serve. It's, frankly, not limiting the use of the space for the betterment of the whole. So I'm just, I would not like to see us go to this blanket 4-hour cap. I think that we need some more information, because I think that there are some things that maybe we can work out when we start to look at the numbers for what they are.
And I agree, and that was the reason you got that information on Friday. I was supposed to have a meeting with them at 11 o'clock on Friday and had to cancel because of business. And then so I just posed those questions to Haskell, and he got Ms. Katie, and they came up with those answers. But those answers really didn't capture everything, especially.
I must have missed that email.
I'm sorry.
I must have missed that email, because it sounds like you're talking about something that I didn't see.
Well, they
which is
sent,
why
they
they're
sent
looking
it
at me
out.
crazy.
Yeah, they
Like
sent it
I-
out to everybody, but
I'm
it
sorry.
didn't have all of the information that you're talking about in it.
Okay.
It captured some of it.
That's
but-
correct. We
but
do not know the income limits of the user.
Yeah,
We don't know
user.
the actual program participants by names, their address. That's information that's typically held private by the organizers.
Yeah.
I agree.
Some of them may give it to us, others may not.
Right.
We can ask for it, but we were able to provide, the name of the organization, the age of the individuals that they cater to or they deliver programs to, the types of programs, their fees, and the number of participants, and then some other evidence as requested.
And that was one of the results of that information that we got, was after sitting there reading it and then saying to you, send it to everybody, I want
Yes,
everybody to
sir.
see this. It dawned on me that we really needed more information than we had there. And that what I was gonna recommend tonight was the same thing you just said. So if I'm gonna take it a step further, I think staff needs to meet individually with all of those groups, organizations, and dig a little deeper. We were gonna need to do this anyway, because remember I had the conversation with you, Mr. Phillips, about the lease and the fact that there were no leases, and we needed to step through that process of what the lease was gonna be, and were groups in agreement with that. So those two meetings can happen at the same time. It can be all about the participants and who they're serving and where they are, and the legal side of it. Well, here's the lease that you're gonna be expected to sign. Are you okay with this? Because we don't wanna get on the backside of having all this, and then one of the organizations say, well, all that's well and good, so if I'm not gonna sign that, and therefore, we have a block of time we could have assigned to somebody else to use the gyms and the facilities, because this group passed. So, I hate to say it, but we do need more work, and it's more staff time involved, there's no doubt about it.
We will certainly
that
ask if that's the pleasure of the council. Yep.
Yeah, does that information, because I clearly can't find it on my phone because it's not connected to the internet, so it's not updating. But does that information include whether or not they're a 501c3 organization, their
I didn't ask that
insurance?
question, no.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
okay.
I didn't go.
Some of them
like I
are,
said,
some of
I didn't
them are
go as
not.
deep as you're going, and it needs to go
Yeah.
deeper. Yes.
I'm deferring to y'all because I hear what you say. What I think we ought to do is have a list of criteria that is part of what the thing is about, instead of saying, well, we ought to ask this. We ought to have a list. If y'all have specific things that you want to ask and get information, let's get all down on a piece of paper where we're asking every group the same question. Whether we get the answer or not, at least we've asked that question and fully explored, so we know what we're getting, if we can.
Sent to the group in advance, so they'll be prepared to answer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did I hear you right that you want a time frame on that? Did I hear you correctly?
I didn't mention a time frame.
I'm
I
sorry.
didn't mention a time frame.
I was just want to make sure if Councilman Rhodes, I thought that's what he might have said, a time frame.
No, I didn't say a time frame. I just said a criteria and where we have these list of questions to satisfy everybody's questions here, and that we list them down and we ask every group the same questions, and you can give them ahead of time because they may need to dig some data up, but at least we would get more information and valid information that where we can compare if we're asking a question about whether this group's valid or not.
So
And
wouldn't it be-
I hadn't paid as much attention to this y'all have, but I just know that, well, we ought to get this, we ought to get this, we ought to write this down. This is what we want information-wise, is what I'm saying. I didn't say time frame. I said.
Okay, yeah, that's why
once you
I
do
just
it.
want to make sure I heard you correctly. I think within that as well, I think you need to find, I would suggest that you add to that list then the number of children that are served that live inside the city. I think would be important to have that part of the criteria as well, since it is a city
That was
building.
that was gonna be part of the process.
Yeah.
So is there a motion to continue this item, given the instructions
So
we
moved.
given to staff? Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, a motion and a second to continue the item, given the instructions and directions we give to staff to come back to us with. And if it's in 2 weeks, that's fine. If it's not in 2 weeks and you can't get it done, then we're not putting a date. We like it sooner rather than later,
So
of
would
course,
we.
but to move through the process. But, okay, so everybody good with that?
Yeah, I'm good with that. I do have one question.
Well-
Since their arrangements have been or expired at this point, can we just continue whatever we're doing with them?
Yes,
until-
ma'am,
That's
we've
right.
been doing that.
Yeah, that we've already had to do that for 1 month,
Okay.
so we can continue that in for March.
Yeah, some of these expired last summer.
Yeah.
Yes.
After COVID.
Yeah, exactly. It was July, I think. Yeah. Okay, have a motion second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Okay, thank y'all. Appreciate it. We have no visitors tonight. We do have a motion, though, to enter into executive session for legal and real estate.
Move we now enter into the closed session as allowed by OCGA 50-14-4, and present to advice by the city attorney for the purpose of discussing legal and real estate. And we, in open session, adopt a resolution authorizing and directing the mayor or the presiding officer to execute the affidavit in compliance with OCGA 50-14-4, and that we not, in this body, ratify the actions the council take in the closed session and confirm that the subject matters of the closed session were within the exceptions permitted by the open meetings law.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We're in executive session, and we're going to stay in this room, so we're going to need